what's up? What's going on out there? I came across this video right here of Roland Martin is talking about one of the Fox News show anchors talking about Kamala Harris's saying, like, making some disparaging remarks about her. So I'm just gonna check out the video, see what's going on, see what Roland Martin's talking about. I'm not necessarily a fan of Roland, and just full disclaimer, I'm not a fan of the Democrats, Republicans, all of them could, fall off a cliff, all I care. But I'm going to see what he's talking about and just, go from there.
Well, on numerous occasions, how Fox News is absolute trash. And one of the most despicable individuals there is Jesse Waters. This is what this sexist asshole actually said yesterday. Listen to this crap.
It's been 3 years since Kamala.
Now, quick thing with Roland's shirt. Vote because your ancestors did. Now, your ancestors, for the so-called black man, black people, they voted because they thought that it would bring a better life for themselves in the U.S. So, they voted, they wanted you to have a right to vote so you would have a choice, whether you wanted to or not. Not necessarily you had to vote, but, you get it.
Boasted about being the, quote, last person in the room when Joe Biden decided to go ahead with the Afghanistan withdrawal. Jesse, people consider you to be the last person in the room because that's because everybody keeps trying to ditch you.
Yeah, they just left. Right. But you understand the reference, Greg.
Yes.
Is that she was somehow involved in the decision, and it was her wise guidance that he was relying upon. Listen, she was the last in the room in Afghanistan, she was the border czar, and she was the deciding vote on trillions of inflationary spending. On those three most popular Joe Biden items, she's basically like a conjoined twin. You cannot separate the two. And let's talk about foreign policy. What is her?
Yeah, he's correct about that. You can't separate the two. It's pretty much conjoined at this point in time. Whatever she says or whatever policy she's going to be moving forward with is pretty much is going to be built on the premise when she was the vice president, which at one point in time, it was some polls out there that didn't even consider her a good VP, even though some VPs are in the shadows. But, most of these people are figureheads anyway. They don't do much anyway. Just a title. They just have the title status.
Foreign policy. This is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse Waters.
Man, this dude, he crazy for that one. It's one of them things like you could take it in stride or take it as disrespect. But knowing Roland and, his cast, the crew, they're going to take it as disrespect and probably start crying. Look, this dude is clearly saying something to get a reaction, rightfully so or not. He's just trying to conjure up some emotion, and I guarantee you that emotion is going to spill over into Roland and all of them. They're just going to get worked up, and just start whining and complaining. I guarantee it.
I don't like that.
Figuratively,
Take
again,
it back.
have their way with her, control her, not in a sexual way.
I'm laughing at dude in the background, just cracking up, because he know what time it is, man. It's just jokes. And just look at Roland, look like he just sitting on the toilet, like he just can't wait to say something.
So Jeanine Pirro, Jesse, take it back. Dana says, Harold Ford says nothing. And then at the end there, this little, oh, I didn't mean it in a sexual way, and this little smile. Oh, yes, you did. And you know what?
How do you know? It could work both ways. Either he did or he didn't. He doesn't know that. Roland, you ain't a mind reader.
Suzanne Scott, the CEO of Fox News, won't rebuke him, won't call him out, won't admonish him, won't take him off the air. This is the kind of stuff they encourage. Nola, here's what everybody needs to understand. And this ain't even September yet. You're going to see far more sexist, misogynistic, and yes, racist attacks on Vice President Kamala Harris the closer we get to the election. It's going to happen on Fox News. It's going to be on social. It's going to be on other conservative platforms. It is going to happen.
Yeah, he's right about that. It's going to happen, and it's going to be in Kamala's court to see what she does with it and how she reacts with it. You know, my opinion, she just has to take it in stride, take it on the chin, take it as a joke, but she has to keep going whichever way she sees fit to see what she wants to do and what direction she wants to go in. Because if she sinks down to that level, I don't think she'll be able to play in on that type of greaseball surface level with those guys. Because then you're playing it right into their hands. That's exactly what they want you to do.
Yes, it will happen. And I needed to take a deep breath because I am so bothered by that clip. I am bothered by that clip as a Black woman in foreign policy who knows generals, who sits at tables with them. And to portray them as if somehow they wouldn't listen to the commander in chief. You know, to have some sort of sexual innuendo and then giggle about it is also insinuating that somehow the generals will do what to her if she's the last person in the room. Okay, so it's problematic from the positionality of them making a joke about it, talking about her being the last person in the room, and then also making generals seem like they are sexist and they will do some sort of harm or sexual violence to VP. That's what my ears hear as a woman. Okay, so that's the first part.
I automatically knew she was going to go there, you know, hit that spin, take the emotionality route instead of just taking they cracking jokes, whatever. I'm gonna keep pushing and do what I gotta do.
Second part is regarding Afghanistan. I've been talking a lot about this because, you know, the Afghanistan case means a great deal to me. I worked on that mission for 2 years after the withdrawal. And what I've been trying to remind people of is how we got to where we are in the first place. While they were sitting there making gross, violent, sexual jokes, because that's how I interpreted it, they didn't say anything about the Doha Agreement. They didn't mention anything about what we gave up in that deal in turn for no terrorism. And let me sit here and tell the American people right now, there are 24 terrorist organizations operating in Afghanistan sitting here today as we speak, not because of President Biden and VP Harris. It's because of the Trump administration. And I'm not saying that to be divisive. I am saying that as a policy person. I am saying that as a person who was once a global terrorism expert. This is my wheelhouse. So for them to give, you know, their viewers and their watchers part of the story, which is what they do, and then to laugh and joke about generals not, you know, respecting her and, you know, possibly wanting to do some sort of sexual harm to her.
Talking about not respecting her. If Kamala go up there joking and crackling like she just smoked some loud, I don't think they're gonna respect her neither.
The way in which they created that visual for their viewing audience not only made her inept, you know, made her ineffective, but then you just completely demeaned her and took away all of her agency, all of her strength and intellect. And while I know that's going to continue, Roland, until the, you know, to the election and beyond, that right there was a different level of growth. And I really hope somebody at the Pentagon contact Fox News and let them know that was not okay, because it wasn't.
And see, what this does is, what this does, Larry, it contributes to this notion that a woman cannot sit at the table, which is pretty stupid because you've got a woman vice president. We've had.
Oh yeah, another thing with Roland. Speaking of a woman sitting at the table, for some reason, every time I think about this guy, I just think about when he was dancing in front of Hillary Clinton. That moment is just singed in my brain. I just can't unsee that. So of course he's going to want to or be all right with having a woman at the table. He doesn't have a choice. He's just a big shield, and for some reason, some people just cannot see that.
Multiple women secretaries of state who have been in the Situation Room, who have been at the table. You've got women governors who have overseen the National Guard. But this is the kind of sexist, ridiculous stuff that happens in this country, and this goes to also show you why this nation has yet to elect a female president.
This channel makes at least $5,000 per month from YouTube Shorts
I don't know what's up
without
with
ever
this
showing
guy.
a face on camera.
Show you why this nation has yet to elect a female president.
It's just a very important point, and we should highlight that, various nations throughout the country, Liberia, Germany, UK, currently Barbados, among others, have had women as leaders of the government. So the United States, as you noted, is behind the majority of other countries in the world. And that's because of sexism. Let's just call it for what it is. Also, as you played that clip, Roland, let's refresh the memory.
No, it's really rulership. Look, honestly, we're in a society where a so-called white man is in his stewardship or rulership, whatever you want to call it. So he's going to be calling the shots. If somebody's deemed something sexist or whatever have you, then that's what it's going to be. So people have to realize that, and I don't know why some people just don't realize that. You don't make the rules.
Of those who are watching, that's a cultural issue with Fox, because they have a cultural problem with sexual harassment.
Yep.
O'Reilly was fired. They had several lawsuits. They had to file.
Oh my God! Bill O'Reilly, Eric Bolling, God used to be at CNN. It was just on the tip of my. Ed Henry. I mean, we can go off-air people as well. A whole lot of folks. They had to pay out a lot of money for sexual harassment at Fox News.
Yeah. So this is a cultural problem that they need to address. And as Nolan noted, this is going to accelerate the closer we get to the election.
They probably do have a quote-unquote cultural problem. It's more like a boys' club over there. You can tell. Like Roland and the others said on the panel, it's pretty much like probably like a frat house over there, making crude jokes and just saying, crass things, But that's part of their culture, It is what it is.
And unfortunately, black women always don't have faced the brunt of this, whether it's in this, on TV or corporate America or in higher education. Let's be honest, wherever sisters are and wherever they excel, there are often those, particularly white males, who struggle to adapt because their beliefs are rooted in these ideas about sexist ideas about what women can and can't do. So we need to continue on this platform to call it out for what it is, and instead it's sexism, and we won't have anyone talking about the VP like that.
Yeah, and it plays.
Really talking about Putins of the world, Roland. That's who he's really talking about. He's talking about those so-called strong men of the world. That's what he really wanted to say, but was too cowardly to say.
Well, and again, Mustafa, if you're a man sitting at that table, you immediately check that fool for that kind of crap.
If you're a man involved, if you're somebody who just goes along because you want to keep getting a check, then you allow that type of foolishness, that trash, to continue to be spewed and move forward. We often highlight, different media organizations and entities that are falling short. We did that earlier on the show. Often people will say, well, that's just Fox News. That's just part of the culture. That's just the way they get down. The question becomes, when do we reclaim our power? Even though probably the vast majority of folks are not regular Fox viewers, you are, in many instances, probably contributing and purchasing from the advertisers who support this type of stuff.
Oh, first of all, if you have cable, a significant part of your bill is going to Fox News.
Yeah. So we've got to find ways of actually addressing these things, because if we're just going to ask for their humanity and their character to move into the 21st century, it's probably not going to happen. You got to, unfortunately, hit people in the pockets, and it has to come in multiple ways, and it has to come from folks not just saying, well, you know, that's just too bad that they said something like that, to actually getting active and taking a look at who are the advertisers and stop giving them your money, and then, of course, having those conversations also with cable.
Like I said before, that's not going to stop. Fox News has probably like I said before, like a frat house type of culture. They've already had lawsuits, you know, sexual harassment lawsuits go on, probably way more than what's been stated or made public. But that's just their culture if it's like that. And it's a certain segment of people in the U.S. that like that type of stuff. So if they lose some advertising dollars here and there, so what? It'll be some advertiser that wouldn't mind advertising with them.
Companies, which I know, based upon a number of shows that we've talked about here, you know, a number of times here on the show, that is not as always easy in dealing with some of the cable companies. But we have to raise our voices to what our sets of expectations are and what we will allow and what we won't. And until we do that, you're going to continue to have these types of folks saying these types of things and demeaning folks who come from our communities and others.
Well, absolutely. And
that's another thing. A lot of these dudes are just soft and they just suckers, man. Like really, like pull your skirt, pull your skirt up, man. Like stop acting like a sucker, man. These people are going to be this way. So what do you have to do to counteract that? Be on your path, stay on your mission, whatever that is, and stop falling for the greaseball, slick, trash talking traps. And stop getting overly emotional about it and stop worrying about what they're doing. Sometimes I'm sorry, man. I just can't stand dudes just acting like a sucker, acting like suckers.
it should be called out. It should be blasted. And again, executives at Fox News should have the guts to actually say something and do something about it. Unfortunately, they have yet to do so because guess what? They consider him to be one of their stars. And so they allow this kind of crap to go on. And of course, the other male and female hosts at Fox News and don't say anything. And so you'll never, Harris Faulkner is not going to say anything. Will Cain is not going to say anything because they are silent. They will sit here and allow that nonsense to go on.
When you talk about blackness.
All right, well, that's the end of the video. I pretty much knew where it was going to go. Roland and, his panel was pretty much going to go on an emotional rant about it. But the lady, brought up some good points about, some policy stuff, even if, her being on the front lines with that, type of stuff. But besides that, excuse me, so-called black people just always get so emotional about politics. And these other people that do this stuff know that they can prey on so-called black people's emotion because they don't know how to, some black people don't know how to control their emotions or know how to channel their emotions. And again, when I saw this, I already knew Roland was going to take the emotional end to it and get all worked up and fired up about something. Like these dudes on Fox, like I said earlier, they just play these games, they talk trash. That's what they do. Live with it and move on. But Roland knows if he builds a counter argument to that, there's money involved in that. So he's not giving real solutions to anything. Like he wants to sit up there and act like he's just some know all, be it all on the political spectrum of you got to go through me if you're a so-called black person to have some intellectual thought on politics. I don't know, sometimes I just can't really stand the guy. He's just a big shill, and I don't see how people knows it. But hey, that's my perspective, and that's just my 1-2.